Hello and welcome to Post Popcorn Picks. Today we're going to be talking about the second Star Wars anthology film, Solo, A Star Wars Story. I'm Damien Bamford, videographer at the Puyallup Post, and I'm joined here today by...
I'm Stephen Gonzalez, and I report things.
Solo, A Star Wars Story. What did you think about it?
It was enjoyable, but it wasn't a necessity. And I know, obviously no movie's a necessity, but certain movies you go see, and it feels as if that was the only medium in which that could have been expressed. Solo felt like I could have gotten that story in a lot of different avenues, in a lot of different ways, and I just watched it as a movie, and it was enjoyable, but I feel like I could have lived my Star Wars-based dreams without it.
To me, Solo felt like a really good 6-episode arc of Rebels. If you keep up with the cartoon shows, the plots get pretty developed, but not nearly as developed or large a scale as the movies. So this movie came in on kind of a smaller scale, and it made it feel a little bit more like we were watching one of the TV shows.
Let's talk about Alden Ehrenreich. Ehrenreich.
What did you think of Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo?
You know, sometimes you look at characters and you tell yourself, especially when they haven't been portrayed on the cinematics yet, you try to think of who would be the best that character. In this case, it's like, who would be the best to fill Harrison Ford's shoes? That being the case, I'll say I didn't hate him. There was nothing about him that I was like, man, that is Han Solo.
I think he really nailed down the mannerisms of Han Solo. That's one thing that I've noticed in the Star Wars audiobooks too, is that they don't try to match the voices, they just try to match the mannerisms. And I think that's the really important part that sells it as the character. Because you can do an impression of somebody but not match their mannerisms at all, and it just doesn't sound real.
Junice Suetamo.
Who?
Chewbacca, good sir. Hello.
Oh. Oh yeah, they got a new Chewbacca actor because the old one is old.
We gotta break in the new Chewbacca. Mm-hmm. I just, looking at him, I was like, I can't help but think Chewbacca was extra skinny this time around. Yeah. He seemed like he'd been hitting the track, you know?
Maybe he just gains weight with age. By the way, Steve Bloom, Stormtrooper. Hey, I'm Steve Bloom.
Was that him?
Yeah, it was totally Steve Bloom.
I knew it, because I heard it, and I was like... I said it audibly in the theater, and Tony looked at me, I was like, Steve Bloom?
Let's move on to Childish Gambino. More like Childish Gambino, yes.
Oh, man. This guy. What I was just saying about Alden Ehrenreich, opposite for Donald Glover. This guy is Lando. Wow.
Nails
the
it.
Mannerisms, his inflection and how he spoke. I am super biased because I ingest his music. I don't just listen to it. It keeps me alive. And I love him in all aspects of what he does. And this was really good. And I could not stop making This Is Corellia jokes. I'm going to have to, pull out my Star Wars fan card. But should I know who Tobias Beckett is? Because I feel like I've never heard the name before.
No, it's a new character.
Okay. Woody Harrelson for a whole... I don't know if I just haven't seen him in enough things or he doesn't stand out to me in enough of the movies he's in, but he didn't do anything inherently amazing for me to call him out in this movie. But the way he played off of Alden Ehrenreich, to me, made his character stand tall in and of themselves, which I enjoyed. I really liked their dynamic throughout the whole movie. I really liked where it went, and I really liked how it concluded. I think it said a lot about Han Solo's future character development.
Right. Past the actors, what did you think of the overall plot of the movie without spoiling it?
I want to keep prefacing this with, I did enjoy the movie. I don't want anyone to assume that I didn't. This feels like two people were in a boardroom and they were like, we need a new Star Wars movie again. What do we do it on? And they were watching the old movies trying to figure something out, and they heard that one line where it was I made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, and they were like, let's do a movie about that. Let's do a whole movie about that. And they just took it from there. As a result, the whole plot felt really floaty. There was a lot of okay, I guess. From me, my suspension of disbelief, just okay, I guess. And
I think that we need to look at this from a bigger picture perspective. I think people really want those kind of more deep-cut side stories to come out as movies. And they're doing this now so they can justify in 6 to 10 years releasing stories about completely off-center events and characters in the Star Wars universe.
And, honestly, I gotta say, I'm kind of behind that. I really like the idea of that, so that's why this feels necessary, because it's if this is what it takes to get us to a point where we just have all of these Star Wars stories being told at our disposal, I'm totally behind it. Honestly, I would probably prefer more Star Wars side stories than them continuing the main plot, because I'm not really liking where the the new movies are going per se. So I'm definitely down with this. It's like if this is what we have to go through, fine. And like I said, the movie wasn't bad. It certainly didn't feel like a slogfest that I had to sit through. It was enjoyable. There are more stories I want to hear, and hopefully this is the gateway to that.
Right. So what did you think of the action in the movie, the encompassing the special effects and the character choreography?
It takes very little to impress me in Star Wars. As soon as I start hearing the laser blast,
Yep.
pew, pew, and TIE fighter noises, I'm pretty much enthralled. Like that's really all it takes, and I'm in it, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so exciting. The movie is really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just, like I said, I could ultimately have done without it, but I like the idea of it being the gatekeeper to better things. That being said, it gets a solid 3 stars out of 5 for me.
I liked it. It was fun. It was a good example of what the genre of Star Wars movie is going to be over the next 10 or so years. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I want more stuff like this. Thank you so much for listening to Post Popcorn Picks. This might be the last episode of the year, I think, because there's nothing else coming out, really.
Basically, I mean, it's been a good, last couple months. We had Infinity War, Deadpool, Star Wars.
I did Ragnarok with James.
I need a break to process.
Yeah.
You know?
It's been a crazy year for movies.
It's been a thing.
Isn't it great living in the future where we just get so much content thrown in our faces and it's impossible to keep up with it?
Yeah, and we know when it's coming, too. Not like back in the day when it's like, I hope they make another one of these. Like, we know it's on the way.
I hope I can catch this movie on TV or go to a Blockbuster. Thanks for watching. Bye!